Oh, if you want a good girl, go to the library. Nobody goes to libraries anymore. Oh, if you want a fitness girl, go to the gym. There's an old common like phrase or saying, which is like,
Are you gonna
you
say
don't,
it?
yeah, you don't eat where you.
So I'm in a good mood. My voice is good as well. Your voice is good as well. We'll be
Yeah,
good. So yeah, I what's been on my mind recently? Clubs versus bars. And I
uh,
feel like the difference between, depending on what you want out of it, between a club versus a bar, it differs between each person. So yeah, I'm gonna just start
so
there. You want me?
I think that's. I no, no, no. I mean, that's good. It's good. I mean, I really think
I'm
that's
gonna start there.
a loaded topic, right? And
Oh
I
man.
think that you kind of nailed the point when you said it depends what you want out of it. If you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for a quick hookup, usually going to a club is your best bet because a lot of those girls there are not girls that you necessarily want as like a wife or a permanent girlfriend. So if you're
Yeah.
looking for a quick hookup, of course it's not easy, right? It's not as easy as just going to the club, finding somebody and bringing them back, right? It depends on your level of game, different factors. But generally the club is a place to go to if you're just looking to get laid, right? Now, people kind of have a stigma on girls that go to bars, but you need to actually think about, well, then, how do you meet somebody? Because in the past, right, we met people through friends, friends of friends, social gatherings, in some cases like religious gathering, churches, etc., right? So that's how we met people in the past. But actually, in more recent years, the most popular way of meeting people is actually through dating apps, meeting people
True.
online. And it's
True.
funny how the world has changed because when online dating first started, people looked at it through a very negative lens. Yes,
Ooh,
they're like, oh, you met
stigmas.
somebody off.
Ooh.
They're like, oh, you met somebody offline. Like, this person is a creep. And, like, granted, there are definitely creeps online, but there are creeps
True.
offline
True.
too, right? And some people, they're not comfortable with that. Or the people that you meet online, though the majority of people are using online dating, they tend to have some kind of social awkwardness, right? They don't know how to interact with people, or they're just generally just too shy. Like there can be a lot of different
Yes.
reasons why the
Yes.
person you meet online isn't someone that you want to be with in the long term. So if you take this factor out, then where else do you meet people? Oh, if you want a good girl, go to the library. Nobody goes to libraries anymore. Oh, if you want a fitness girl, go to the gym. It's just like if you're really going to the gym to go to the gym, then like you shouldn't be going there to like pick up women because like the gym is like your sanctuary, right? And like
Yes.
there's an old common like phrase or saying which is
Are
like,
you gonna
you
say
don't,
it?
yeah, you don't eat where you shit. You know what I mean? And so
Don't eat where you shit.
basically, basically, while picking up women at the gym could be beneficial because you guys have similar interests, if things don't work out, now it becomes a little bit awkward for you to work out there because this person you're going to continuously see, right? And of course, you can be cordial and continue the relationship going forward, but it can be awkward. So I'm not saying you should shoot your shot at the gym, but you should be very selective and be very careful. But the safest place to meet women is actually at the bar because the bar, people don't always go there just to drink and like party and have fun, but people go there to meet other people. And yes, of course, they do go there to drink because it's a great place like to relieve your stress, right? Like
Right.
girls' night out,
Right.
at some point, the girls, they're going to be going to a bar, right? So,
Right. Right.
yes,
Exactly.
it is a
Exactly.
great place to like, just relax, but also you can meet other people there.
The bar.
That's the bar.
It's it's funny too because I get this from both sides. My gender friends. I was about to go into something else, but between both my friends, men and women, they will always ask me, Chris, where can I go to meet people? And my default answer is always the bar. But the bar, you do get the most amount of people, but then again, you get the most amount of people. So you also get a wide range of the good, the not so good, the degenerates. Fortunately, you get them all. So just going off topic. No, I think it's on topic. Just you can. There are other places like the library, but that's more niche. You have a different selection of people that go to the library. Less chance of getting degenerate, but less chance of anyone actually fucking being there at the library to begin with. Then again, you can also like, play soccer or something, play tennis, and that's a different niche of people there. But then again, when there's a niche, there's less people than the general. And time again, it's like throwing a net. It's like throwing like a casting out a net into the sea. The bigger the net, the higher chances of more you get back. So you cast out a really small net at the soccer club, which is really nice. A cooking club, which I should probably go to. It is a new year, 2025. Cooking club, tennis club, all these different things. It's a really small net. So that really small net might just bring in maybe one or two different people. But if you cast out a really big net at the bar and, like we mentioned later, the club, you can get back like 30, 40 plus fish, whatever, but it won't all be the same quality as well. So again, pick your poison, or pick your protein, because tuna got good. What's it like 28 grams of protein or something? Like whatever it is. Anyways,
Oh, there's a
extra
lot.
stuff.
Yes,
So like,
but and I
yeah,
think that's a really good point, right? It's like casting the net because not every girl that you meet at the club is going to be a bad girl. Not every girl you meet at the bar is going to be a good girl. So it really comes down to, to bring things back full circle. What are you looking for, right? You can meet a good girl at the club. The odds are not in your favor. You can meet a good girl at a bar. In my opinion, the odds are more in your favor. But what will yield the best results? Ultimately, it depends on you. Not even just what you're looking for, but you as a person. Because for a person, let's say there are introverts and there are extroverts. For
mhm.
an extroverted person, hands down, the best place is the club, hand down, especially if you can dance. If you're
Ooh,
extroverted, if you can
ooh,
dance, then the club
you're like
is for
Super Saiyan.
yeah. You
It's just
excel.
they're
And it's not just
picky.
you go beyond Super Saiyan, right?
Yeah.
I highly recommend going to the club because it's where you will shine. Because everybody at the club is looking to meet somebody, and even if
It's
they're just there
tailored.
dancing and having a good time, I would
Yeah.
say more than 90% of the people at the club and bar too have had some sort of like alcohol. So they're more open to talking. Now, the club isn't an area where you can just walk up and talk to somebody because the way that you approach at a bar and the way that you approach in a club is very different. It's very different. At the club,
So
it's not
different.
about what you can say, but it's more about how you present your aura, right? Which is why, once again, if you're an extroverted person, you're good at presenting this aura, and then people notice it. They can see like your confidence without you even having to say a word. So when it comes to, a person being introverted or extroverted, what place is better? It ultimately depends on you. Extroverted people, I think it's better for them to go to clubs. But for more introverted people, it might be better to go to a bar because introverted people generally they're really good at talking to people that they're close to. And when you go to a bar, oftentimes you're not going to the bar by yourself. Usually you don't go to the club by yourself either, but at a club you can't talk, right? But if you're going with like your homies and then you find like a group of girls, and this is the thing, in my opinion, the key number is two because usually girls go out in pairs. Of course, sometimes like you might see groups of three or more, but the golden number is two. So then what do you do if you have obviously more than one best friend, right? Because it's not just me and Chris. Me and Chris have plenty of other friends that we like to go out with. Then you split up. So I generally like even numbers because if you have an even number of guys, and since the most popular number is two, you can just split up into different segments, right? And that way, like two of you talk to these two girls, or if there's four girls, all four of the guys can go together. When there's an
Ooh.
odd number of guys, it becomes a little awkward because then you have one
Yeah.
person kind of like just sitting back while like the other two are working or talking to girls, right? But of course, there are
Yeah.
cases where it's like the girls have an odd number of people as well, right? Three and three, and things just line up. But the golden number, in my opinion, is two. And that's why it's better to go to bars if you're more introverted, because you can feed off your homie's energy. You don't have to completely come up with every single thing of what to say, of how to carry yourself, because you're with your friend, your homie, your best friend, right? And if you just be yourself, once again, it's very cliche, but like cliche is cliche for a reason, because it works. If you just be yourself and like you're with your homie, the girls are gonna see that. They're gonna be like, oh, this guy, he's so talkative, he's so handsome, he's so X, Y, and Z. And then you'll be able to have like a good conversation together, like the four of you, right? Or however large the group is. So I really, when it comes to me personally, bars are the way to go. But go ahead, yeah.
There's a reason when he said how many there are of you. Even though we always say trying to match your numbers, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 4, 12 to 12. I mean, that's not happening, of course, but matching your numbers, because every time you add on an extra person, that's an extra layer of, depending on how you see it, that's an extra layer of bullshit you have to deal with going towards that night. There's pretty much another person you have to deal with, or another situation, or another logistical type of, um, you know, trying to find out what to do with this person, that person, the more you add on people. So that's why 2 and 2 is usually the best to go. And you actually will see that pairs of twos is the highest, it's the biggest group of people you'll see, the most common group you'll see around people in a bar. You go into a bar, I'll mention this later. You go into a bar at a really famous, it's a bar, but they try to classify it on the maps as a club. But Thursday party, Thursday party in Korea, which anyone's from Korea, like, oh, I know what you're talking about. That's a bar slash sometimes it classifies as a club, but it's a bar. It's a bar. You go over there, you'll see so many different groups of twos, 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 and then you see the random like group of like 15 people. Just don't worry about that. Don't worry about that group. But you'll see that there's always be groups of two people in there, and it's just better to be in a group of two to keep it as minimum as possible. Because if you have three people, and say you and your homie is actually working, it's hitting off really well with like two of them, but then there's that third, that's just that third little friend and that little, I mean, she's there, but she's there talking, and then say you have a third friend as well, and he's talking with that person. If she's not feeling it, she has the power to take away her two other friends, to pull them away from the group and like the vibe you're having with your two friends, and to pull
Yes.
it back to her, just because it's not working with that one guy. And that's
Yes.
with three people. I don't
Yes.
want to go to four people.
Oh,
Four
honestly,
people.
that is a very strong point,
Man.
because
Mm.
when even in pairs of two, right? So even in
Yeah.
pairs,
Even
it's
Chris too.
difficult because one girl could be feeling you, but if her friend isn't feeling your homie, it's going to fall apart. And like, yeah, you can say things like, oh, like get her contact information, her phone number, her Instagram, etc. But generally, at least in Korea, when you get a girl's Instagram, when you get a girl's phone number, it doesn't matter, because they will give it to you like candy. It's
Oh,
so easy to
on
get a
Halloween
girl's
as
contact
well.
information. Oh yeah, right, candy on Halloween. But the issue is they're not going to contact you back, because by giving you their contact information, they can avoid confrontation. And even if in that moment they genuinely do like you have to think like, these girls are so pretty. They're being talked to from all angles. Every single day, a guy is hitting on them. A guy is asking them out. A guy is trying to take them out for a date, right? So because they're getting all this attention, right? And Chris mentioned that like, attention is like sex for women. Because they're getting all this attention, what makes you so special? You
Mm-hmm.
didn't leave a lasting impression, because you talked for 15 to 20 minutes and then you went away. This happens to them all the time. So it's like, unless you are the upper echelon of attractiveness, they're not going to contact you back. So you have to make something happen that night in most cases in order to leave a lasting impression. And what do I mean by make something happen? I mean, like, pretty much you have to take them to another area, have an activity with them, like maybe play pool, go bowling, or have drinks at another place. And then ideally, take them back to your place at the end of the night. If you didn't do anything that's like memorable and it's just like a 15-minute conversation, more times than not, they're going to forget you. And then they're going to have this 15 conversation with another guy. And if that person had more game or better timing, better environment, the girl's friend wasn't there, etc., things just happen to work out, you're left in the dust. And now they're with this guy.
Remember, that 15-minute conversation might have meant something to you because we're guys. We don't get as much attention as women in general. So that 15-minute talk we had her, that might have been the first time we had a talk that long with a woman in say weeks or maybe a month or 2 months or whatever. But for her, it's Tuesday. She had that shit. She had that shit 3 hours ago on the bus ride or in like the metro station or at 7-Eleven, wherever she is. If she's pretty, she's gonna get attention from everywhere on her phone whenever she feels like that. She posts one picture of her like, "Oh hey, look at my hair," but clearly it's focused like on her, not her hair part of her body. You know what I'm saying? She can do that. She can just have her coworkers at work, whatever. She can have people at lunchtime. What did I say? Yeah, just going to transportation or not. She can get those 15 minutes 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 times in a day before it even gets to 7 p.m., 8 p.m. nighttime, where she's gonna get that repeatedly. She has this shit like it's Tuesday. But for you, you're like, oh man, I just had a great 15-minute conversation, man. I'm feeling everything. She knows my name. She knows that I'm very interested in improving my life. I have goals, I have money. She don't give a fuck. It's Tuesday for her. So that's what we're saying, that even when you give her your number and you think you did really well, my friend, she already has like 100 different numbers. What makes you any different than the rest of these guys? This is why having more QT time with the person in the bar, and somehow trying to find a way to, preferably make it more memorable by number one, almost change the location. Just like, we said dating apps, whatever, you want to get them off your dating app. It's the same thing with the bar. You generally want to get them away from the bar as quick as possible to make it more memorable. I'm gonna focus on Korea real quick. In South Korea, the music's always loud when it comes to bars or clubs. Clubs, the music is like a jet engine. You're going to have hearing damage in like the first 5 minutes in clubs as well. But bars, it'll take me like 30 minutes. It'll take me like 30 minutes. But you have less volume around you, so you can actually talk more and get to talk to her, which is probably the number one biggest difference between bars and clubs, is you can actually talk to someone at a bar. And so if you're able to talk to her, that means, depending on how good your game is and of course how attractive she is to you, you can get her to almost like phase 2, step 2, which is change the location to make it more memorable, build up more QT time as well. That's always a goal for us guys. If we're trying to meet a potential partner at a bar, we need to find a way to make it more memorable. And so, they remember us because, like we said, it's Tuesday. They get these messages and these attention all the time as well. So, yeah, once you do that at the bar, of course, you take them, you get to a different location, things have a higher chance of working in your favor.
Right. And actually, I think that's something that I kind of want to elaborate on, is that it's much easier to transit locations from a bar than it is to a club. Because generally, when girls have spent a lot of time at the club, they're usually slightly intoxicated. So it's hard to say, like, hey, let's get a drink somewhere else because they've already had a lot to drink, right? Whereas, like, at a bar, they might have had a few drinks, but they haven't reached a level of like intoxication where they're like sloppy drunk, right? Because at that point, they're already at home, right? So it's easier to transition to a new location from a bar than it is to a club. Now, that said, the advantage of if you can transition from a club is like that means they really like you, and it probably will be much easier to be like, hey, let's go back to my place. Or another great transition would just be like,
You're
hey,
right.
let's get something to eat, right? But
Yeah.
still, in general, transitioning from a bar is much easier to make this memorable experience. And the more QT that you build up, the better your chances will be in the long run. It's hard to get good, definitive QT in a club because it's not a place where you can talk. But if your strengths are dancing, if your strengths are you're a very attractive male and you have a strong, like, super saiyan aura presence, you need to be going to the club because that's where you're going to do well. But if your
Yeah.
strengths are talking, socializing skills, then you need to go to the bar. But yeah, man, do you have anything you want to say at the end?
I'm gonna stop it here because I'm gonna go on for like another like 30 minutes. But I'm gonna stop it here and just play your strengths. We all have we all have a hand to play. Some people have better hands. Some people are born with like a joker or two aces. But at least on average, we all have at least an ace in our hand, and that could come whether from our personality, our physique, the way we dance, something that we learn or discipline, or just some other random stuff. But we all have our cards to play. Play your hand, and yeah, things can happen. So yeah, that's all I have to say for now. We'll talk more later. Stay tuned for our next whatever episode because we always have 1,000 to talk about as well. But we'll see you guys around. Until next time.
All right. Peace.
Peace. Hey YouTube, if you like this episode and you want to see more, go check out our Patreon where you can be coached by either me or Cairo about things not allowed on YouTube. Also, go check out our guidebook.
And if that's not enough, you'll also get access to our full-length videos, along with access to our Discord server where you can connect with broskiis just like you.